Hey everyone, I'm Emily. I'm 16, and I've been bouncing around the foster system for as long as I can remember. Now here I am again, standing on the doorstep of another new house, clutching my worn-out suitcase of belongings. I've done this too many times, but something about this moment feels different. The door swings open, and there's Linda Anderson smiling wide and beaming with warmth. Emily, sweetie, we're so excited to have you join our family, she gushes, pulling me into a hug before I can react. It catches me off guard. Most foster parents treat me like I'm made of glass. But the Andersons, they're like something out of a Norman Rockwell painting. Rick, my new foster dad, grabs my bag with a friendly smile. Let's get you settled in, kiddo. Tyler, come meet your new sister, he calls, and out comes Tyler, their 18-year-old son. He looks like he just stepped out of a teen magazine. He gives me a nod and a casual hey, which is already more than I usually get from foster siblings. Linda takes me upstairs to my room, and I nearly choke. This is all for me. Of course, sweetie, Linda replies, beaming. We want you to feel at home here. For the first time in forever, I actually believe that maybe, just maybe, it's possible. When school starts, I meet Jade. She plops down next to me in homeroom, grinning like we're already best friends. New girl, huh? I'm Jade. Stick with me, and we'll run this place in no time. And just like that, I have my first real friend. Weeks go by, and I'm surprising myself. I'm acing tests, speaking up in class, and I even join the debate team. Mr. Thompson, our coach, pulls me aside one day after practice. Emily, you've got real talent for this. Have you thought about entering competitions? I'm floating on cloud 9. For once, I feel like I belong somewhere. But there's this nagging feeling I can't shake. Linda's always hovering, always asking where I'm going, who I'm with, and what I'm doing. At first, I think it's sweet she cares, right? One night, I'm heading out to study with Jade, and Linda stops me at the door. Emily, where are you going? To Jade's. I remind her. We've got a big test tomorrow. She frowns. I don't know, sweetie. It's a school night. Rick calls from the living room. Let her go, Lynn. She's been working hard. Linda steps aside reluctantly but adds, be back by 9 sharp. As I walk to Jade's, I can't help but wonder if I'm just being paranoid. Isn't this what real parents do? Care about where you are, who you're with? But then I remember all the homes before this one, all the broken promises and shattered hopes. I try to push the thoughts away. This time is different. It has to be, right? I thought everything was finally looking up, but I was so wrong. It started small. My favorite hoodie went missing, then my phone charger. I figured I was just being forgetful. But then I noticed my dinner portions were getting smaller and smaller. I tried to brush it off, but something felt off. One day at lunch, I couldn't take it anymore. I spilled everything to Jade. I swear, Jade, I'm not crazy. My stuff keeps disappearing and I'm always hungry lately. Jade's eyes narrowed. That's not okay. Have you thought about setting up a camera in your room? A camera? Isn't that a bit extreme? Not if someone's stealing from you, Jade insisted. My cousin had a similar problem with her roommate. I can get you a small hidden cam, just to be sure. I hesitated, spying on the Andersons, but when my birthday necklace, the only thing I had left from my birth mom, vanished, I knew I had to do something. Setting up the camera was nerve-wracking. Every creak in the house made me jump. Still, I did it, and then I waited. 2 days later, I checked the footage, my hands trembling as I pressed play. There, clear as day, was Linda. She was rifling through my drawers, pocketing my things, even taking food I had stashed away. No way, I whispered, feeling sick. But it got worse. I dug deeper and discovered Linda had been selling my stuff online. She had an entire account filled with listings, my clothes, my books, even that necklace. I was reeling, trying to make sense of it all when I overheard Linda and Rick arguing downstairs. Lynn, we can't keep doing this. The gambling has to stop, Rick said, his voice tense. I've got it under control, Rick, Linda snapped. Besides, it's not like the kid needs all that stuff anyway. That's not the point. We're supposed to be helping her, not. I couldn't listen anymore. I burst into the room, shaking with anger. How could you? I trusted you. Linda's face went pale, then hardened. Emily, sweetie, I don't know what you think you heard, but don't. I saw you. On camera. I found your online account. You've been stealing from me. Rick looked bewildered. Camera? Emily, what are you talking about? Linda's voice turned ice cold. I knew you were trouble from the start. Always snooping, never grateful. You know what happens to foster kids who can't adjust, don't you? My blood ran cold. You wouldn't. Try me, she hissed. Rick put a hand on her shoulder, trying to calm the situation. Now let's all take a breath. I'm sure there's an explanation. An explanation. I couldn't believe it. She admitted to gambling away my stuff. Just then, Tyler walked in, looking confused. What's going on? Linda burst into tears. Oh, Tyler. Emily's accusing me of horrible things after everything we've done for her. I stood there in disbelief as both Rick and Tyler rushed to comfort Linda, casting me accusatory glances as if I were the one in the wrong. Emily, maybe you should go to your room, Rick said sternly. Now. I fled upstairs, my world collapsing. How did this happen? How did I become the bad guy? Sitting on my bed, surrounded by the few possessions I had left, I felt more alone than ever. The family I thought I finally found had turned into just another nightmare. With shaking hands, I pulled out my phone and texted Jade. You were right. It's worse than we thought. I need help. I felt like I was drowning, like everything was closing in on me. But I knew I couldn't just sit there and take it. I had to fight back. The next day at school, I cornered Jade and Mr. Thompson after debate practice. I need your help, I whispered, barely able to keep my voice steady. It's bad. Really bad. Mr. Thompson's face grew serious. Emily, what's going on? I spilled everything. The stealing, the gambling, the gaslighting. By the time I finished, Jade was fuming and Mr. Thompson looked grim. This is serious, Emily. We need to handle this carefully, he said. Jade nodded. We need a plan. Something bulletproof. We huddled together, speaking in hushed tones as we hashed out our plan. First things first, Mr. Thompson said. Emily, you need to play along. Act like you believe Linda's lies. We need time to gather more evidence. I nodded, even though the thought made my skin crawl. I'll help set up more cameras, Jade offered. We'll catch her red-handed. Good, Mr. Thompson agreed. I'll reach out to your social worker discreetly. We'll need official channels involved. For the next few weeks, I became an actress worthy of an Oscar. Every time Linda gaslit me, I nodded and apologized. You're right, Linda. I must have misplaced it, or I'm sorry for accusing you. I was just confused. All the while, I was documenting everything. Every missing item, every shrinking portion of food, every manipulative conversation. Jade and I even set up cameras in the living room and kitchen. When the Andersons were out one day, I decided to check the attic. Call it a hunch. What I found made me sick to my stomach. There were boxes upon boxes of stuff, clothes, toys, electronics. None of it was mine. With trembling hands, I opened one. Inside was a photo album filled with pictures of smiling kids, other foster kids who had lived here before me. Oh my God, I whispered. I'm not the first. Hidden behind the boxes, I found a locked file cabinet. Thanks to the lockpicking skills I picked up in some less than ideal foster homes, I managed to crack it open. Inside were financial records, details of online sales going back years, and gambling debts. Everything. I snapped pictures with shaky hands before carefully putting everything back exactly as I had found it. That night, I used the burner email account Jade had set up for me. I reported Linda's online selling accounts for fraud, attaching the photos I'd taken as proof. The next day at school, I met up with Jade and Mr. Thompson. I found something, I said, my voice hoarse. It's bigger than we thought. There were others before me. Mr. Thompson's face darkened. This ends now. I've been in touch with your social worker and the police. They're ready to move, but they needed solid evidence. This could be it. Jade squeezed my hand. You're doing the right thing, Em. We've got your back. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. Okay, let's do this. Let's take her down. As I walked home that day, my heart was pounding. I knew that soon, very soon, everything was going to change again. But this time, I wasn't going to be the victim. This time, I was fighting back. I just hoped it would be enough. I remember that day like it was yesterday. I came home from school, my stomach in knots, knowing what was about to go down. As I walked in, I saw Linda frantically shoving things into a closet. Emily, you're home early, she said, trying to sound casual. Before I could respond, There was a loud knock at the door. Linda froze. "Mrs. Anderson, this is social services. We need to speak with you." Everything after that was a blur. Social workers and police swarmed the house. They found everything: the stolen items, the gambling records, even evidence of neglect toward past foster kids. I'll never forget the look on Linda's face when they cuffed her. She glared at me, her eyes filled with hate. "You ungrateful little." An officer cut her off. "Mrs. Anderson, you have the right to remain silent." Rick and Tyler were shell-shocked. They kept insisting they had no idea, but the cops weren't buying it. They were cuffed too. Months later, I stood in court, my hands shaking as I prepared to give my statement. "Your Honor, I'm not just speaking for myself today. I'm speaking for every kid who's ever felt powerless in a system that was supposed to protect them." I poured my heart out, telling our story, not just mine, but of all the foster kids who had suffered under Linda's care. When I finished, the courtroom was dead silent. The judge didn't go easy on them. Linda got prison time. Rick and Tyler got probation and mandatory counseling. It wasn't everything I'd hoped for, but it was something. After the trial, Jade's family took me in temporarily. It was weird living in a house where I didn't have to worry about my stuff disappearing or going hungry. Fast forward 2 years, and here I am, rocking my freshman year of college on a full scholarship. I started a support group for foster kids on campus. We're small, but we're mighty. I'm even working with some law students to push for foster care reform. Last week, I got a letter from Linda. She's up for parole soon and wants to make amends. I read it once, then tossed it in the trash. I've got no room in my life for toxic people anymore. Looking back, I realized that what happened with the Andersons, as awful as it was, made me stronger. It showed me that I could stand up for myself, that I could make a difference. To all the foster kids out there feeling lost and alone, I see you, I was you. And let me tell you, it gets better. You're stronger than you know. Don't let anyone dim your light. As for me, I'm just getting started. Watch out, world. Emily's coming through, and I'm bringing change with me. If you were in my shoes, would you have given Linda a chance to make amends after her time in prison? Or do you think some betrayals are just too big to forgive?